My first name is Don. My last name is Mitchell. Donmitchell.
All right, Don, thank you so much for being here today. I'd like to know a little bit about you, your childhood. Where did you grow up? Where did you live?
I grew up in a town in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, called Fairfield. It's like right in between Florida Boulevard and Choctaw, off of Foster Drive.
Yeah.
And I grew up there for like 18 years. And
did you have a big family?
Yes.
You have siblings?
Yes, I'm the youngest of 11.
11?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So you have brothers and sisters, 10 older brothers and sisters. So as the baby, were you spoiled?
Yes, very spoiled. My mom, she didn't want my stepdads to like whoop me or anything when I did something to get in trouble.
Sure.
And it, sometimes looking back, I wish that she had.
You needed discipline?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, a little.
Yeah.
I just tried to grow up and be pretty good, but I made mistakes as a child.
Everybody makes mistakes. What did you learn? I'm sure with having so many siblings, you've learned what to do or things maybe not to do. What would be some examples of that?
Well, I kind of grew up when I was 6 years old. My father was killed by his brother, and I grew up in an alcoholic family, so it was a lot of tension. It was a lot of painful days.
Okay.
And I've went to church. I could remember they come and pick us up from on the bus, on the school bus every Sunday to go to church, and I kind of found refuge, in Jesus Christ and going to church and everything, and it was pretty hard, I had a lot of anger issues, resentments, but I'm grateful, I'm thankful.
Yeah. Do you think having that type of an environment, do you think that strengthened you? And
yes,
yeah.
Yes. I think it strengthened me because I didn't want to be like that, but I've ended up kind of in my teenage years kind of gearing off. I guess it's because of the lack of father figure in my life, and my brothers and sisters was kind of envious of me because my mom didn't want to whoop me, but I was kind of envious of them because they knew my father longer than I have, and they say he was very, very creative, very talented, artistic, and they say with me performing poetry and doing different things, I get the creative nature from him. And that's what they tell me.
And he would be proud of you.
Yes. They say the way that I turned out, he would be very, very proud of me.
Now, how is your relationship with your mother? Is she still alive?
My mother passed away a week before Christmas in 1995.
Okay.
It was early on, like I said, it was pretty rough. Some days I come home from school, see her drunk on the floor, and that was pretty hard to see as a child. But I've had addictions, I've had problems with marijuana, crack, alcoholism, cigarettes, you name it, and I've been clean and sober for a long time, and my mom, she got very sick the last couple of years of her life, and I just wanted her to see me you know, give up the drugs, give up the alcohol before she passed away, to see one of her sons do something positive, you know, and God allow her to see that, you know.
Oh, so that's good.
Yes,
And that was a blessing.
and that was such a blessing to me, you know, and I'm truly grateful, you know, and you know, looking back on my life, I don't regret anything, you know, because it allowed me to focus on the positive things and the healthy things, you know, and that's what I like to teach and to give back, that no matter what you go through in life, you know, there is nothing too impossible for you to overcome and for you to prosper. And the things that we go through, the hard things, are not meant to make us bitter. It's to make us better, you know, and to grow and to overcome and pass on, you know.
In listening to your story, I think there's so many people that can relate to what you were struggling with, you know, your addictions. There are many people, either themselves or they have a family member or a friend struggling with addiction, because it is out there. And addiction comes in different forms.
Yes.
Not just in illegal substances, but what piece of advice would you have to someone, A, with an addiction, and how should they get help? And 2, someone who's a family member that sees someone struggling, how can they help?
The advice that I would give to someone struggling with addiction would be try to recover. You don't become an addict overnight, and you're not going to recover overnight. You have to give your bodies a chance to heal. You know, give yourself some time away from it. The longer you are consumed in an addiction, the harder it is to come off of it. You know, I know my counselor, he passed away in like 98. One of my addiction counselors, he told it'd take about a year or maybe 2 years away from addiction just for your body to get back to normalcy, you know. And I'm grateful, you know, and that's the advice that I would give. Give yourself a chance, you know. Figure out these different triggers, things that trigger you, you know, and just be honest with yourself. And focus on your recovery. I know sometimes they say they take it one day at a time. Sometimes you have to take it 1 hour at a time, 1 minute at a time, because it gets very difficult. And because we're so used to doing things, you know, putting things in our bodies, and it's just so difficult to let it go, because we are creatures of habit. So that's the advice that I would give.
It sounds like you've been handling the recovery very well, and you haven't relapsed. So that, I think that's got to take a lot of inner strength. So what motivates you?
I've given up marijuana in April of 1993. I gave up crack and alcohol in 1995. I gave up smoking cigarettes January 1st, 2000. And one thing that motivates me is my daughter and the children of this world. You know, I'm a firm believer that we as people, we try to make this world a better place than what it was when we entered into it. So we can leave a legacy, a positive legacy for future generations to build upon, you know, and teach them that go to school, get an education, you know, just allow yourself to do positive and healthy things in life, you know, and that the choices we make reflects who we are, and the choices we make doesn't just affect ourselves, it affects the people around us, you know. And one treatment thing that they had a treatment session for the alcoholics and the drug addicts, but they also had a section of people that came in who wasn't addicted but was married to people or had family members who was addicted, and it affects them. And they had their group, you know, the family members and everything, you know, whom you might have a husband or a wife or a brother or a sister that's addicted, and you're living with that, you know, and it's, I think that was a pretty nice group to teach them how to deal with people on addiction, loved ones, and everything, you know. So that's the advice that I would give people who might not have an addiction on their own. Get involved into some groups, because their behavior, their pattern, their addiction affects you as well, you know.
It does. I think that you're a huge influence to other people, just hearing your story and hearing how positive you are. I've known you for a while now through AOC, and I've never seen you had a bad day. I've always seen you have a positive attitude, and that's something to be respected. Who would you say in your life has been somebody that's been a positive influence to you, or more than one person?
I would have to say one of my addiction counselors that I met in 1995 in Schriever, Louisiana, which is a small town right outside of Homer in Thibodeau Parish. And he passed away, I think, in '98. But he was, the year that I went in, he was pretty old, but he was the 1994 Louisiana State Addiction Counselor of the Year winner. Wow. He was like so influential, you know, in teaching me how to deal with life situations, triggers, you know, and different things you could go through that triggers off addictive behavior, and he taught a more of a spirituality basis, how to use spirituality to overcome addiction, physical addictions. And he was such an influential early on, you know, because my mom had passed away. Like, I wasn't even clean and sober for a year when she was passed away, and that was like a really hard time, you know. And I give all the glory to God, because in '93 I had relapsed before. It was like the second time, you know, and I give all the glory to God, because I had to look at something outside of myself, you know, and God kept me. And when God kept me through the death of my mother, and I was able to go through that clean and sober and not go back and use it, but the triggers was there, you know. It was there, and that gave me a lot of strength and a lot of hope, you know, that if I could go through that and survive, there's really not anything that I can't overcome in life and deal with it. Because for me, I looked at alcoholism and drug addiction as a way to escape all the pain. I didn't want to feel the pain and the resentment and the hurt, you know. But I've learned how to deal with the pain and the resentment and hurt, and not go back and use, you know. And that was pretty. I just thank God for allowing people to come into my life and help give me that hope to live life on life terms without using. And that was the main thing, you know.
Yeah.
And over the years, even though I've been clean and sober for like 25, 23 years, I haven't smoked cigarettes, you can't slip up, because that addiction, it'll creep up on you so fast, and you think you got a beat, but you don't, you know. And I'm just grateful. I just try to love people and help people, you know, and that's the legacy I want to leave, you know, for little kids growing up. That it's okay to love people. It's okay to do good by people and to help people, you know.
And it's okay to be sad or angry or depressed, because those are emotions that, you know, we all go through.
Right, right.
And handle it in the right way.
Right, right. So it's not so much, the tragedy is not in the sadness or the hurt or the guilt. You know, the tragedy is going through it and not taking advantage of it to do something good and something positive.
That's a good way to look at it.
You know,
I haven't heard anyone put it like that before, but I think that's a very good way to handle that kind of situation. All right, let's change it up a little bit, and let's talk about AOC. I know you've been a member here for a while at AOC. Tell me how you first got involved with AOC.
Well, I had moved to Lafayette from Baton Rouge around February of 2007. Okay. And the first thing that I wanted to do was learn the bus system, you know, because when you move into a new town, that you learn the bus system, where the buses go, to what's the main attraction. And I was just walking around different neighborhoods, you know,
And you walked in the door?
And I saw AOC was down the road by the Greyhound. They wasn't here at the Rosa Parks back in 2008. I just walked in the door, and they told me about what was going on, the memberships and everything, and it was
meant to be.
It was meant to be. I just walked in the building.
What was one of the first projects that you worked on?
I think the first project I worked on, I did a church service, you know, for one of the churches that I became a member of, and I had to go through a lot of growing pains. With the patience, because, you know, I look at TV and everything, I was like, that should be easy, making a commercial like this, you know, and when I became involved with AOC, I had a total different appreciation of people who make movies and television. That is some hard, that is not easy. It requires dedication, patience. Yes. It's some hard work.
It is, and I think that people don't realize everything that happens behind the scenes. They make it look easy, but it's really not. What is your dream project to work on at AOC? What is something that you haven't done, that you thought about, that just hasn't come into being yet?
I've thought about doing a movie and just airing it on AOC. I know they have a 26-minute, 56-minute kind of thing, but I would like to do a movie and air it.
What would the subject be about?
The subject would be about, it would be this director, this famous horror director. I mean, he's like famous international and known, the world know about him, but he was a serial killer.
Okay.
And he was like killing these people and making these movies about the people.
Well, that sounds like an interesting twist. Yeah.
And ain't nobody really knew, you know, it was him.
Okay.
You know. So that's one of my dream projects.
Right.
To do.
Well, good, good. I hope you can make that happen one day, because I'll be one of the first people that will want to watch that. I guarantee it. Now it's time for a few fun questions. What is your favorite decade and why?
My favorite decade?
It could be in your life or a decade that you wish you lived in.
I would have to say my favorite decade is the 80s.
Okay.
You know, I think the music of the 80s was very influential, you know, and people would look at me like, you must be into hip hop, you know, I'm into soft rock, hip hop and everything, you know, and Michael Jackson and Prince and Tears for Fears and Cyndi Lauper. That's it. I love the Cyndi Lauper.
Oh, me too. I loved her. I dressed up as her for Halloween one year.
Right. Yeah. You know, and you know, some of my friends was like, you kind of weird for a black man. Black man don't you black man don't like music like that. No.
Well, you know.
You know, and is it? So I would have to say the 80s,
yeah.
You know, was one of my...
Your favorite decades. Now, you mentioned music. Who are some of your favorite musicians of all time?
Ooh, I would have to say Tupac, Eminem, like I say, Tears for Fears, Cyndi Lauper, Mariah Carey, you know, people, Boyz II Men. I used to like them.
Oh yeah, that was a good group. I forgot about Boyz II Men. Really good group.
Yes.
What about your favorite television shows or movies? What do you like to watch?
Well, my favorite movie would be National Treasure.
Okay, that's a good one.
You know, I think the thing that it's very artistic. I kind of like movies that's not predictable. They have some movies where you can kind of figure out what's gonna happen next. And the first time I saw that movie, it just kept me off balance.
Yeah. That's the
you know
plot of a good story. Yeah.
And I kind of like the CSIs.
Okay.
You know, with the scientific and everything, you know, that's the creative aspect.
Yeah.
You know, I think they say that I get that from my dad.
Okay.
You know.
Speaking of creation and artwork, I was going to ask you if you have any tattoos, and I can clearly see that you have several. So why don't you explain to us what each one represents, if it's not too personal for you?
Okay, well, I have this eagle, and I love eagles because it represents freedom and everything, you know, Leo lion, because I was born August 16th.
Okay.
Elohim is a Hebrew title for God. You know, I kind of like, you know, I'm a Bible historian, you know, and that's the Hebrew name for God, no honor, no glory. People think I was like a military man because that's like a military thing, but I never been to the army.
Right.
You know, I just like that phrase because, you know, honor before glory. You know, you have to honor yourself. You have to honor friendships and everything. And I have the prayer hands, destiny, wisdom, and faith, you know, symbolizing my faith in God and everything. You know, panther. You know, I have an affinity for animals. No, I'm not part of Black Panther. Okay. That is not what this is. And Yahshua, that's the Hebrew name of Jesus. And soldier, warrior, torture. Well, the reason they was given a special where you could get 3 names for like 7 letters or less for like $20 or something. They had a special. And so you see these 3, you know, so that's what That's what basically they.
Do you plan on getting any other tattoos?
I wanted to get a tattoo of a cross, you know, like the cross of Jesus Christ. And I wanted it to start on the back of my neck, all the way down my back, and come across my shoulder blades. You know, but a couple of people told me that's a good idea, but it wouldn't be a cross. There would be a T, because the cross had to be a little lower, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know. I might get a tattoo of my daughter, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I might get a tattoo on my chest somewhere, you know, something like that. But I'm not sure. I got a lot of these when I was young. I was like teenager, just experimenting things, you know.
Yeah. Well, that's hey, you know, whatever you're feeling at the time. Now, this is a fun question. If you won the lottery, what would you do with the money?
I give some of it to charity, you know, to charity that invests in kids' futures. You know, I would have, I would like to buy like 10 cars and have like single mothers put in their situation and give single mothers like these cars, you know, because I know how difficult it is raising a child. It's difficult, especially if you're single and you're trying and you ain't really getting no help, you know, and just, I would like to do something like that, you know.
That sounds
buy like
nice.
10 nice cars, you know.
Hey, that's a good idea. Well, if you won the lottery, I think you'd probably want to travel. Where in the world would be a good destination for you? Where would you like to go?
The Bahamas.
You like the beach?
In the summertime, yes. I've wanted to visit Hawaii. I want to stay away from cold places.
I don't blame you at all. I don't do well in the cold. Don, if you could spend one day in someone else's shoes, who would it be and why?
Oh, that is a tough one.
And it could be someone living or deceased. It could be a historical figure. It could be a celebrity, family member, friend.
I have always kind of been intrigued with Sun Tzu. I've read his book, The Art of War. When I was on the 2007 Arkansas National Slam team, you know, the coach of the team had me to read his book, The Art of War, and he had these quotes, and, you know, and I just love quotes that inspire wisdom and intelligence, you know, and I've learned a lot, and I try to think about how knowledge have progressed, you know, and very rare we will have this special person that just like comes into our lives and defies logic, you know. And I think, and I look at the wisdom he was implementing, and I think about the time he was doing, and he was like super intelligent, you know. You know, people wasn't doing and saying things that he was saying back when he was alive. So that's very intriguing to me.
Okay. Do you have any fears or phobias?
What, like fears?
Fears, fear of heights, snakes, spiders, fear of failure, fear of relapse. Yes. I kind of think about relapsing. You know, I don't really have a fear of heights. You know, spiders, things that are poisonous. You know, I don't want to get bit and just die, you know, by something, you know. But I'm really not
too afraid
Yeah.
of, of anything, you know.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm looking at the T-shirt that you're wearing. I want to thank you for volunteering for our festival international film crew. You were essential this year to us because you not only volunteered one day, you volunteered pretty much every day of Festival International.
Yes.
And again, we're grateful for that. What was that experience like for you?
It was awesome. You know, I had a really good time. You know, the bands, the culture. You know, I love Festival International, and you know, it's just giving back to the community. You know, and giving back in a positive and healthy way. You know, so when I look back on my life, you know, I could tell kids, you know, I've met, you know, bands from other countries, amazing bands like the females from Canada somewhere. I think there was like a choir or something. They was like really super amazing.
Right.
You know, and I'm just, you know, I'm just grateful that I was able to volunteer and give back and do good, you know, and not expect anything in return. And that's where character, you know, when you just doing what's right because it's right, you know, and and I try to be consistent, try to be a man to my word, you know. And
you are. You are. I've known you, I think, about a year now, and I find that you are. You say what you do, and you do what you say. We're almost finished with the interview. I just have 2 more questions for you. Right now, we're in the beginning of June. By the time this interview airs, we'll probably be in July. But what are you looking forward to for the rest of 2018?
I have multiple projects, you know, ahead of for AOC, and I'm kind of debating. William kind of caught me off guard. He said I could do a series, and I'm kind of debating on whether I should do the series for the missing people, because I kind of I have affiliations with different missing people organizations and try to put their pictures on AOC, or I could do a series on the poetry readings that I'm involved in. But I have to pick one or the other, you know.
So tell me about your poetry readings. Why is that important for you to do? What do you get out of doing that?
Poetry is therapeutic. For me, it allows me to channel my creativity in a way where people could relate to my struggles and hope to identify with their struggles. But in my poetry, I don't like to leave people in the struggles. I like to give them a way out, a way of escape, you know. And I've kind of fell off poetry for about 4 years, from like 2012, and I just started coming back performing in February of this year. And you know, I'm glad I'm back performing. You know, one of the ladies who's running the poetry scene now, you know, she begged me for years to come back, and I really introduced poetry to her. Her name is Alex Johnson, Poetic Soul, you know, and she got poetry events going on around town, and she convinced me to come back. And I'm not organizing any poetry events, so I'm kind of supporting her and pushing her. It's her vision, you know, so I'm kind of helping her out.
Yeah.
So I'm probably leaning to the poetry, you know, to do a series from July to December.
That sounds good. I think we look forward to that. Last question. How do you want Don Mitchell to be remembered?
I want Don Mitchell to be remembered as a person that loves people, that no matter what's going on in your life, no matter how difficult it looks. You know, I like to say this quote that it takes pressure for every diamond to shine, you know, and to not cave in the pressure. And I want people that no matter what they're going through, you know, if you have a positive frame of mind and you focus on priorities and not personalities, you know, and focus on things that's healthy, things that that will leave a positive influence for the next generation to build on, to make the world a better place, I'm all for it.
Sounds good, Don. Thank you so much for being here today. Appreciate you.
Thank you.